All right, everybody, welcome to the Vormator Challenge project. And I'm going to teach you how to get set up for the project, how to download the files, how to set up the project file to work on, and we'll go over how to work with these shapes. So let's start off everything right now by going down to our drive at the bottom and clicking on the globe, which is going to connect us to our drive, and then we'll be able to see in our name, and then we have our multimedia 1 folder, semester 1, and then I'm going to actually go to a different one here, with the overview folder like this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click into this column right here, and if you're not viewing it in columns view, please go with me and click right here first. We'll right click in this space here, say new folder. It's going to be 02 dot, and it's spelled VORMATOR, challenge. Just like that. And that's how we're going to get started with this project. We're going to set up a folder to keep our files in so that we can stay organized if we need them. I also want to do one other quick shortcut right here, which is this. I want you to take this folder from this window, drag it to the left, and put it in the sidebar where it shows this blue line, and then release it. So now whenever you need to go here, you can click on the shortcut to get to your folder instead of having to go through all those other things. We just click right here. Here's an example of multimedia 3. Here's an example of multimedia 1. And that'll help you a lot in your setup. So that's step 1. Step 2 is going to Canvas and navigating to your dashboard, and then going to multimedia 1, go to assignments, click on the Vormator project. Notice the due date, September 23rd at 11:59. This is a project. Projects are worth 80% of your grade. So basic shapes exercise, Vormator project, these are heavy valued projects. So I'm going to click on the Vormator project to get the description. It says begin this lesson by creating a new folder in your semester 1 folder, name it 02 Vormator project, and we have done that already, so let's move on. I'm not going to go over the project overview with you here, but what I am going to do is come down to right here where it says resources, Vormator shapes download, and we are going to download that file from right here. So we're going to click one time. It's going to give us this Illustrator file, and when you're looking at it, you can just click on this folder right here. Oops, let's do it again. Click on this folder right here. There we go. And in your downloads folder, which you can also find at the bottom of your screen right here, you can click on that to open it. We're going to look for this Vormator, the shapes, and we're going to take this file and we're going to move it into our multimedia 1 file. And this is how we're going to do it. We are going to, with the Finder window open, you can tell we're in the Finder because we're looking right here. Press Command N. We'll make a new window. So this one is currently looking at the Recents folder. We're going to change it to our Multimedia 1 folder and then highlight Semester 1 and Vormator Challenge to leave this column open. In our other window, we're going to look for that Vormator Shapes 2.ai file. AI stands for Adobe Illustrator. And we're going to just take it and drag it from there into here. See how that column is highlighted in blue? We're going to release right there, and that file will be sent to this folder. We're not going to open it quite yet. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready in Illustrator now. So I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to come to Illustrator, and we're going to go to the home screen, it looks like this. And we are going to create a new file. In Illustrator, we click this blue button to create a new file. And there are a lot of different presets. So for example, these are the ones that I've worked with recently, a lot of letter size, custom sizes, all kinds of different stuff in here. But there are also things that, you know, say you wanted to design for a phone, or for the internet, or for printing, or for something that has to do with branding. Maybe this goes into something we'd see in social media. Here's a social media tab. Here's an Instagram carousel post if you wanted to make something that was going to show up in there. YouTube thumbnail, Pinterest pins, etc. Instagram stories. They're all presets for those sizes. Art and illustration, film and video. But what we're going to do is make our own custom setup here. And the first thing that we want to do is under the preset details, we're going to change the name. We're going to change this to say Vormator Challenge. And then under the size, we're going to change this from inches to points. And you'll notice that right here it's described in points, 792 points by 612 points. We're going to change these numbers right here to say 800 by 800. And if you can predict what's going to happen here, that is a square. We are going to leave it in CMYK color. We'll talk about color modes later. And then we're just going to hit the create button right here. And what you're going to see is we have a square artboard. The next step here is we want to clean up our workspace. So let's go to the window menu, come down to workspace, and with your name selected right here, we're going to come down to the very bottom and say reset that workspace. So when we're done with that, we want to make sure all we have is our tools, our layers, and our properties tab open. This other shape tool that we had open here, we can just click this X. We're not going to be working with those right now. And we'll just remove the clutter from our space. There's this other window here, and I find this to be pretty helpful at times. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm not going to close it up, but just move it out of the way. And then to begin, we're going to take a look. This one, we're going to talk about layers. So right here, we have our layers window. And if you don't see this, please go to Window, choose Layers. If there's a check mark next to it, it means it's already open. If there's not a check mark there, it means it's not showing. So we're going to open it up. And in here, we're going to click on the word Layer 1, double click, and we're going to type the word background like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our rectangle tool. We're going to choose a fill color. I've been really liking this, this kind of like blue-gray color right here. And I'm going to set it to have no stroke as well. So it's a fill, no stroke, and we're drawing a rectangle. It's going to go all the way up in the corner right here. You see it says endpoint. That's the corner of this artboard, and I'm going to click and drag across it and then release when I'm down at the other corner, and that is going to be my background color for this project. I'm going to hit the lock sign right here. Just so you can see that, this is how we lock that layer, this little button right here. And that means it is not able to be edited. I cannot draw in here, and you'll see my tool right here says you can't do it, right? But what we are going to do is we're going to open a new layer. So at the bottom of the layers, we're going to click this button. And we'll make layer 2. We're going to double click and name it Shapes. All right. Next, we're going to go back to our project folder in the Finder. Multimedia 1, we made that shortcut, Semester 1, Vormator Challenge, and then we're going to double click on the Shapes folder, and it looks like this. These are the shapes that we're going to edit, and we're going to create this Vormator artwork out of this. There's some history to the Vormator challenge, and I'll tell you more about it in class. I might include a link to it if you want to dive deeper into it. The Vormator challenge is a design project in which you're only using these 8 shapes right here, these very custom shapes, and they have names like the Zerk, the drop, the badge, the chevron, the bar, the worst, the cobra, and the tentacle. And they're used to combine together to make new and different things. One of the things we want to do here is we want to be able to transfer these shapes into our Vormator challenge document. And so what we'll do is use the the selection tool. The shortcut is the letter V. It's the black arrow. We're going to start here and click and drag across all of this. We're going to right click and say copy. We're going to come back to our Vormator challenge page, right click and say paste. And now we will have all of these shapes in our project, and we can work from here. Now, these go off to the side like this. They don't go on top here yet. And if we go to our layers palette, you can see that now we have in the shapes layer, we have all of these shapes included here. And if we open this up right here, you see this little arrow right here? If we click this button right here, you'll see that this is a group of objects in here. And if I hit the eyeball on any one of these, I can turn off different elements of it. So for this case, I'm just going to turn off the visibility of the eyeball on the names. And that'll allow me to just see these shapes without the distractions or clicking on other things. So the first thing we want to know is how to copy an object. And so you can right click on an object and say copy, and then click somewhere else, and then right click and say paste, and you'll have a copy of that object. And you can change the size of it. Remember to hold the shift key while you change the size. You can also do things in the properties tab like rotate the object. And again, I'm just putting my cursor over the top of this and scrolling my finger over it. You can also just click these buttons here to change them to different angles. Another thing that I find helpful with working with shapes is these 2 little buttons right here that say flip horizontally and flip vertically. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So before I do that, let me show you a quicker way to copy an object. So if we go right here and hover over this object and we look on our keyboard, and I want you to find the space bar and then just go 2 keys to the left or to the right, and then hold down that's called the option key. And when you if we look at what happens when we hold down the option key while we have our selection tool selected, it changes to this double arrow. If we hold the option key down, click and drag, and keeping our finger on the option key before we let go of the mouse, we can make a copy of that object really quickly. Okay, so let's do that again. Option, click and drag to make a copy of a shape, okay, or any element. And then if I wanted to modify this, what I would do is say I wanted to come over here and I want to flip it the other direction. Well, I could grab it and drag it like this, but that distorts the object. And one of the rules is you can't distort the object. You can change the scale, you can rotate it, you can flip it over, but you can't change the dimensions of it. And so to do that, maybe to do something different, is just click this button right here and it will flip the other way. And now I can combine shapes together. So that's a new shape that I've made there, and that might be a mouth or any other things that it could be. You can also flip the other direction. So if we click the other button, we can flip it vertically, which should allow us to do something like this. All right, so that's transformation right there. We can change the size and scale. If you have this lock set on the width and height, you can click and drag your finger over these numbers and the other number will change with it, allowing us to modify and keep the proportion of the width and height together. There's all kinds of different things that you could do with this particular project, and the choice is going to be up to you. I'm really interested to see what you guys make in this. There's so many different possibilities here, and everybody's going to come up with something different. Basic movement, you can rotate an object from here. You can move your cursor to the outside corner of a shape and click and drag to rotate as well if you want to have something that's a little bit more organically rotated. Remember, you can also do that right here in the Properties tab as well, so you can observe it, change the size, all this stuff, flip horizontally, flip vertically, all from the Properties tab. We can change the fill, but again, one of the rules that we have for this project is you cannot add a stroke to it. You also cannot add effects. And so you can add a gradient to it. That is one thing that you could do. You could go in and say, I'm going to create a gradient here. And then, as we know from our first project, we can change the colors of the gradients, right, to whatever we want. And we can add different colors in as well. So if we want to have a 3-color gradient, boom, we got a 3-color gradient. You can also rotate the angle of the gradient as well. So if we go like this, you can see we can change the positioning of the color there. I see this as kind of like a horn or something that might be on a big like minotaur kind of creature or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of possibility here. I'm just going to set it back to black for now and zoom back out. I'm going to delete that. Remember, we have to keep the originals together, but if you ever do wind up like taking this and deleting it and it's gone, all the originals are still in the Vormator challenge. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to export your finished project.